Somebody's got to be a door greeter. Hello, everyone. Al, we on live? We're on live. So if you're out watching at the base or at home watching, I appreciate you tuning in. This is something that we probably should always have done in the past. Actually, we used to do these things in the past, and anytime somebody was running for a spot like the governor or Congress or Senate, we would always welcome them to our stage. But we've been so busy since US Air and American merged that honestly, I've just had to keep my head down and stay in my lane on trying to save jobs, keep them from outsourcing jobs to China and South America. And you know, we used to be 8,200 strong. Technology's changed with airplanes and such. So we're hovering around 4,400 people, and we'd like to keep every one of those 4,400 jobs, even when guys like me retire. I'd like for somebody to be hired into our spot. And so this year, most particularly, it seems like on this cycle for governor, there's a lot of things going on in Oklahoma, not just union labor issues or outsourcing airplane issues. There's a lot of things happening in our state, and I believe it's important for the folks that want to raise their hand and throw their name in the hat to try to help solve some of these issues and work on some of these problems. I believed it was important enough to look, let's create a forum for them if they are willing to come to talk to the membership and talk to those of you that may be watching online. So to that point, Oklahoma Attorney General Drummond is here. He's running for the primary for the Republican ticket, and that runoff is August 25th. And so if you're a Republican in this room, then you tend to vote or ask your family members to go vote. Sharpen your pencil, take notes, and he's going to speak for a few minutes and take a few questions. So let's give him a round of applause and welcome him.
Thanks, sir. Thank you, Dale. And it's great to be at Local 514. Thank you for those who are viewing online and for you guys to be here present. I know you know this, but I want to say it to you, how very important American Airlines is to Tulsa and to Oklahoma. And you are the people that deliver that. So we need you to be strong. We need to support you in every capacity. One of the public policy issues I've been playing around with to attract more aviation into Oklahoma is to work with the legislators to remove aviation fuel tax. Now, I'm an old fighter pilot. I flew the F-15 for 8 years in the Air Force, and I could watch pilots migrate toward the most favorable places to land, quickest turn, great maintenance, and the cost of the FBO and the fuel. And if we can do things that enhance aviation, continue to enhance aviation in Oklahoma, I'm going to be there with you. My oldest son is a member of the union. He's an Airbus 320 pilot based out of Dallas, but he lives here in Tulsa. And we value, as a family, we value American Airlines above everything else. So you guys are a great family, a great home, and I'm so proud to be a part of you through my son. So thank you for the great leadership and the great structure that you guys have had. So many of you in this room I've got history with going back 25 years, and it makes me wonder where the years ran by. But this is my opportunity to sell you on me. My objective is threefold. One, that if you're a Republican, you vote for me on August 25. Two, if you're a Democrat, you vote for me in November. And three, that after our exchange of time together, that you go out and you tell your friends and family that you talk to me and whether or not you would support me. And I'm hoping at the end of this time that you would support and advocate for me. About 400,000 people voted in the primary. We know about 200,000 will show up on August 25. So if you're voting on August 25, your vote really counts as double. So I want to encourage you to do that. My background, briefly, I grew up just northwest of here, about 30 miles in Osage County, east of Hominy. That's where I went to public school, studied agricultural economics, living on a cattle ranch, and then took a commission in the Air Force, flew fighter jets for 8 years, culminating in the Gulf War. Studied law, came back here, and Wendy and I have raised our 6 children and now entertain our 7 grandchildren out on that cattle ranch north and west of here. So I am one of you in this community. I know some of you live out near Inola. I'm that guy that's suing to shut down the smelter because it will take what is beautiful and pristine and perturb it. It will never be the same. My fear is it would be Tart Creek 2, and so I'm going to stand in the way of the United Arab Emirates and the group out of Chicago that everywhere they build a smelter, they pollute and they get fined. And so I don't want to tolerate that in Oklahoma. So I'm here to be your advocate. As your Attorney General, let me just give you a quick report card. I ran on 4 promises. I've kept 4 promises. When I took my oath of office, we had over 12,000 marijuana grow facilities in the state. I took the oath. I formed an organized crime task force, and we took the battle to the enemy. Just right here on the southwest side of the airport, there was a huge marijuana grow facility inside one of the buildings, just right across the fence line. We took them out about a month ago, and we've shut down over 10,400 illegal marijuana grows in the last 3.5 years, and we shut them down every day going forward. Principally Chinese syndicated crime organizations and cartels from Mexico and Central America, from Cuba, from Bulgaria, from Russia. They're here and they've invaded Oklahoma, and we're holding them accountable. Secondly, out-of-state companies that come into Oklahoma that hurt us, like State Farm, Allstate, the pharmacy benefit managers that drive up our health care costs, I hold them accountable. I'm suing them. I'm getting recoveries for Oklahoma, and I'm going to continue to do that throughout my term as Attorney General. We've also held accountable state actors that have taken advantage of our contracting and our tax dollars, and we've made government open at a state, county, and local level. So those are great accomplishments for the authenticity and openness of government, and I'll continue to that as governor. Now, as governor, I've got 5 promises, and I make promises and I keep promises. 1, we need a governor who's an education attorney. Education governor, somebody that owns education, starting from daycare all the way to the trades. We have too many children in Oklahoma. About 60% of our children are not in quality daycare. They're in front of a screen. They're not being stimulated, not being fed, and they start kindergarten not disciplined, not ready to learn in the classroom. So I want quality daycare. I want to put reading teachers in the classrooms of the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd graders so that our children can read. And then on the trade side, and this is near and dear to the union, we are short about 50,000 pipe fitters, welders, electricians, plumbers, CDL drivers, nurse assistants, and hygienists. 50,000 short in Oklahoma. What we need to do is be driving young people into the trades. So someday they'll be eligible to come out here and work at American, replace guys that are getting a little gray in their forehead and long in the tooth. That's education. Number 2 and 3 are healthcare and mental health. You've got great coverage here at American, but your friends and neighbors don't. And we have to do something about healthcare and mental health. We have to fund those core services so that our population is healthy. If we fix education, healthcare, and mental health, then workforce development is natural. And lastly, partnership with the tribes. The Cherokee Nation, which is just here to the east of us, over the last 8 years have invested in over 46 states buying operational companies because our governor shut the door on them. The Chickasaws and Choctaws and the Cherokees, if they were publicly traded, would be Fortune 500 companies. They each made over $4 billion last year. We as a state need to put a hand of fellowship and work with them, bringing them back into the fold, investing with Oklahoma, creating opportunity. I dare say I would anticipate the Choctaws, where they are located in the south central part of Oklahoma, will focus on aviation, which only will benefit Tulsa and American Airlines. The Chickasaws will focus on military defense contracting, which will only benefit Oklahoma and the Union. And the Cherokees will focus on infrastructure development with the state of Oklahoma in each one of those. So if we do those things, then we can make a difference. Now, you have a choice in this election. You've got a gentleman who paid Roger Stone $70,000 to get an endorsement of President Trump. And the requirement of that endorsement is that he flip from being against the smelter to being promoting the smelter in Inola. He also has flipped on education. He was pro-education when he started, and now, just recently, he called all 541 of our public education schools run by socialist communists. And lastly, he has said, he is making promises that he simply can't deliver with regard to taxes. He wants to take everybody's income tax to zero and property tax to zero, but what that does is it transfers the tax to you on your consumption. So you'll be paying taxes on any kind of retirement you get, and you're going to be paying taxes on any type of service that is provided. So it's just a transfer of tax to those that make less than $100,000. So you've got a choice, a guy that flips and a guy that leads. Now, you are not going to agree with me 100% of the time, and that's okay. That's not my objective, to make you happy 100% of the time. But this is what you can count on. You can trust me 100% of the time. My yes is no, yes, my no is no. I stand for what I believe. I become informed, and I act on it in the best interest of Oklahoma, even if it hurts me. Taking on State Farm and Allstate, taking on pharmacy benefit managers, suing to keep the separation of church and state has cost me dearly as an elected official. Out-of-state dark money has put $1 million a week in the campaign against me because they can't control me, and I put Oklahoma first. They're supporting the other candidate who is for sale. So you have a choice. And I would urge you on August 25 to get out to the polls. For my Democratic friends here, I urge you to go tell your Republican friends to get out and vote. And together we can make a difference. This is an opportunity to have a generational change in leadership in the state of Oklahoma. And I would be honored to serve you as governor. And I will be committed to American Airlines and the union that makes it so important. And on a note on unions, you'll remember that Michelin has 7 tire manufacturing plants in the United States. One is was non-union. It was the one in southern Oklahoma. When Michelin had to close a tire plant, guess which one they closed? The non-union plant, right? So the unions are valuable to the stability of manufacturing and production in the state of Oklahoma. You are led by honorable men and women who negotiate fair and reasonable benefits and wages for you, and you make Oklahoma stronger. So I will always stand with the unions because you are us. You represent the very best among us, and so I'm your advocate. I love American Airlines, and we need to make it stronger in Oklahoma, and I am committed to that end. So thank you for being here. If we have time for some questions, I'm happy to ask. If you don't have any, I'll make something up. Thank you.
They are used to me refereeing, so let me referee. Linda?
Yes, first, thank you for your strong stance against this movement in Inola. But I would also like to ask what your view is on the AI data centers that we're finding everywhere.
Right. So
The danger that they really are.
I'll repeat the question for those online. Thank you for thanking me on the smelter, but the question is on the data centers. Just this week, yesterday and this morning, I'm in negotiations with Google and Public Service Company of Oklahoma. Google wants to come in and build data centers in Oklahoma. PSO wants to provide the electricity, the power, at a fair and reasonable rate. My takeaway from Google is it's a bully, and it wants its power for free, and it's going to ask whatever county it moves into for the county commissioners to waive ad valorem taxes, and it's going to want to use its water for free. So we have to have elected officials that stand in the gap that don't permit that. Now, are they coming? Yes, they are coming. We have to honor and support local control so that the communities who don't want them don't grant that, right? There's communities that do, and there are communities that don't. 1. 2, we have to make them pay their fair share. What they want PSO to do is build a $25 million power plant and have us pay for it and them just pay for the power as they use it. That's not fair. So we're not letting that happen. So we have to make them pay for the power they need. We have to require them to use cooling systems that are either no water or recycled water, and we need to make them pay their taxes, their fair share. With that in mind, they would be an economic benefit to any county in which they land because the ad valorem taxes, the property taxes that they will pay, is the equivalent of an entire county's property revenue. They're small counties. If you put a data center in Osage County, its property taxes would be the equivalent of 1/2 the property taxes in Osage County. If you put one in Adair County, out near Stillwell, it would be double the property taxes of Stillwell. So there's benefit to be had, but we have to control the economic environment and the use of the water and the use of the power. That's a great question.
I've got kind of a follow-up question to that with Linda's concern. So I know in my research, living close to Pryor, Google, and they're trying to expand. They use a lot of water, so that cooling water, they bring in a gallon, I'm told, by a gentleman that works there, and a half a gallon gets evaporated out through the cooling process. Is there and I know that, when I first met you up in Oklahoma City, there was a lot of concerns about the poor water quality in the state of Oklahoma.
Right.
So does that get looked at from the data centers, how much water that has to be used and how that impacts our quality of water and the aquifer that Oklahoma sits on top of, and the fights that the tribes have with who can grab the water and who can't? I mean, is all that intertwined?
It is all play. So as a starting point, water is probably going to be our most valuable resource in the generation of our children. We just don't have enough of it. And when we bring in these economic development centers like a data center, there is technology available through which they can use a closed loop cooling system, meaning that gallon they bring in gets evaporated and they reuse it because it then comes back down. So they can close the loop and use the same amount of water without just running through it. Like the smelter. The smelter is going to run through 55,000 gallons of water an hour. And it's going to come in and go out into the Inola wastewater site, which will destroy it. So that's why I'm fighting the Inola Smelter. With the data centers, I'm fighting with them to require that they pay their way, they pay their ad valorem, and they take care of our water. So it's all tied together, and you need an advocate in the Attorney General, and you need an advocate in the governor's seat to do the right thing.
Okay, we've got an online question. This is kind of it's a very detailed question, but it's very vague too. A gentleman online wants to know about the Rogers County Council, and I think it pertains with John Feary. So is any of that, what's going on in Rogers County, hit your desk yet?
No, I need more detail
I know.
on Rogers County. I'm sorry.
Yep, I thought so too. And then I've got another online, and we'll go to somebody out here. A gentleman wants to know about the rock quarry expansion that's happening or potential to happen in Owasso.
So the rock, anytime a rock quarry expands, it has to go through the Corporation Commission, and it has to have the consent of or a compelling reason to override its neighbors. So I know we've just gone through and we just litigated one as a Ada aggregate down in Ada, Oklahoma, where they wanted to expand, and we required them to put protections in for the neighbors so that it wouldn't disturb their infrastructure and then it wouldn't injure the water. And once they proved that up, then they were granted the opportunity to expand. So the same would be true with the Owasso quarry. We're there. We provide legal counsel to hold them accountable anytime there's an application, and we'll continue to do that.
Okay. Questions from the audience?
So Chris's question was accessibility to the office. So I can only speak on historical. So as the Attorney General, we have a portal where people come in and they raise complaints, issue questions, call to attention, illegal marijuana grow facilities, violations of the law, and things like that. And then we assign a number to that person who came in, and we follow up. And if it requires staff work through an agent or law enforcement or an attorney, that gets worked up. And then if it requires my attention, then it comes to me, and then I get involved. Similarly, in the governor's chair, I would continue to be accessible to Oklahomans, but at my discretion to deploy is a much larger staff to be able to take on these questions that you would have as an individual. So you've got an individual access, but I will tell you the power of Local 514 is significant. And I know that as a member of the union, elevating it up to Dale and through whatever cycle you guys need to do, you're always going to get an answer when it comes with the strength of the union behind it. So don't be bashful about using these guys to advocate your problems, because if you're having it, the likelihood of many people having it is high. And that's frankly how I became informed to sue State Farm and to sue Allstate. It wasn't because I was bored. It was because individuals like you said, hey, 3 years ago I had a hail damage on my roof. I have a contract for a roof replacement. I went to State Farm. They said, no, your roof's depreciated and we're only paying 30%. That doesn't seem fair. And I get enough of those complaints and I'm like, there's a problem. And so now I'm holding State Farm accountable. And more likely than not, the amount of recovery that we will get through litigation will create a sinking fund of almost $500 million so that people like you that got wrongfully denied a claim can come in, we look at it and issue you full payment plus your loss use of those monies that you had to spend. So that's how that system works. We are here to do the very best we can for the state of Oklahoma, all 4 million, not just Republicans, not just union members, but Democrats, non-union members, Native Americans, non-Native Americans, the state of Oklahoma at large. Great question. Thanks, Chris. No, I have presented to the AFL-CIO. I think it's a great organization with the multiple of members. Forrest is going to be a great leader for you. He has access to me. I think we're at the point in Oklahoma where we don't need to have extreme right and extreme left, because most of us are right here. We care. If it affects our home, our paycheck, and our future, whether you're Democrat or Republican, whether you're union or non-union, it's about the same. And so we need a governor who's unafraid to veto legislation that would injure unions, injure individuals, and I'm committed to that. I'm a very bad yes man and a very strong no man if it's not good for the state, and I'll continue to do that. But I want to continue to develop a great relationship. Some Republicans are afraid of unions. I embrace the union because it is so valuable to our workforce. I would love to see that. And we saw with the case with the tire manufacturing, it injured Oklahoma badly when they shut down that tire plant, and we don't need any more of that. I mean, if you, for some odd, crazy reason, deunionized, I imagine American will ultimately move out of Tulsa. We can't have that. So you have to keep strong union leadership that's committed to the state, committed to the airline, and the state elected officials will continue to work with you. Yes, so Ardmore is working with me directly, and we certainly work with the tribe to backfill that. There's such great, Ardmore is a great city if you've not been down there. There's a lot of opportunity, and it's so closely connected to Dallas, right? So a lot of Texans are tired of living in Dallas and Fort Worth. They move up into Ardmore because it's just so close to be there. We will continue to find companies, build our own companies here in Oklahoma that will occupy that and any other abandoned opportunities in Oklahoma.
So next question was an online question. This is interesting. Autonomous vehicles. What's the state attorney general's stance on people bringing autonomous vehicles and letting them run around our roads?
My stance is they better not have any problems. I mean, they're not in Oklahoma yet. They're experimenting on the coasts. We have a grave concern about the autonomous vehicle. We have a lot of open highway in Oklahoma. A lot of it's rural highways where, the most dangerous place on my ranch is when I come to a stop sign. I'm not worried about me not stopping. It's the guy on the other side that's going to go through it. So autonomous vehicles in Oklahoma are just not going to be a starter. We need to have humans behind that wheel as best we can.
I like that, because then it's autonomous buses, autonomous truck drivers, and autonomous airplanes, and autonomous tractors. And what are we all going to do?
Let me elaborate on education. One, the reason that we don't have more economic development in Oklahoma is because people don't want to move in because we're 50th in education, 48th in healthcare, and 46th in mental health. We have to fix those three to be an attractive destination and to keep our kids here. Right, our young teachers at Oklahoma State are leaving. They can go to Texas, Arkansas, or Kansas and make 20-25% more. So clearly, we need to pay our teachers fairly, and we're not. Now, the guys that were running against me in the primary, they made a big to do about we raised teachers' pay raise. Yes, they did 8 years ago. Right, we can't have that. We have to keep up with our competition or the teachers are going to flee. We also need to elect a superintendent of education who will uplift the teacher, right? These teachers don't get paid enough to get beaten down like Ryan Walters beat you down, right? We need to lift up the teacher. That can start with the governor. I mean, I can name you every one of my, K through 12 teachers. They made an impact on my life as great as and important as my own parents. The teachers matter, and we need to honor them. We need to pay them right. We need to give them a fighting opportunity by that daycare. So many of the teachers I talk to, these children are coming into kindergarten, first grade. They are undisciplined, wild banshees. That daycare is going to give them the stability to learn to sit and engage, and they get that out of their system early, so they start elementary school ready to learn. So there's a lot of things that we can do to improve the measurables of our education system. I'm committed to that. And it starts with great teachers, which we have. We need to honor them and pay them and keep them. And I would like to see signing bonuses for young teachers and retention bonuses for mature teachers, so they aren't tempted to leave the classroom. I want them in the classroom.
Okay, got an online question, and I like this one. I'm always telling my kids and my kids' friends, do not be sliding sideways, spinning your tires, going around the corner by Harps and Inola, because there's flock cameras somebody's going to show up at your door. So this person online would like to ask, what's your thoughts on those flock cameras? They're coming in, they're taken away, or are they legal? They crossing a line?
So here's my general statement. Don't break the law. Right? Don't break the law. Now, we don't use flock cameras for driving violations. We don't. We use flock cameras as defensive mechanisms. Here's an example. I was in office about 6 months. I made somebody really angry. They came to the office one day, called into the office, and we captured the number, very threatening to me. Called in, we captured the number. We ran it through the database. We know who this gentleman was, where he lives, and the make and model and tag on his car. He calls back the next day. He's going to bomb my office. This is Oklahoma City. We got flock cameras every 5th block in Oklahoma City. So we knew where he lived. We sure enough found him driving his vehicle, identified in the flock camera, this is who this guy is. We followed him. We knew exactly where he was driving. We had the opportunity to bring in about 40 trooper vehicles to block off the Attorney General's office. And this guy drove right into a trap, and we arrested him and prosecuted him, right? Flock cameras averted a dangerous situation, kept him away from the building, were able to arrest him. Similarly, we were identifying what we thought was an illegal underground casino and prostitution ring. But we didn't know anything other than the ownership of the house. We watched 3 guys come in with those limes, right? The little electric things. 3 limes came in on a flock camera. So we identify 3 limes at a certain time in a certain location. The next day we got a warrant for Lime. Said, hey, Lime, tell us whose credit cards, names and addresses were on those 3 limes. Got it. We knew who to arrest. So the flock cameras come in handy. So if you're gonna deal drugs, run a prostitution ring, grow illegal marijuana, you should be against flocks. If you're just going to go to church, maybe speed 10 miles over the, I don't care. You're going to be fine. So don't look at it as an invasion of your privacy. Look at it as a great tool for law enforcement. Because fundamental to our community, if we are safe, you flourish. If we are unsafe, you don't. And so we're here to protect you. Yes, sir. From a law enforcement perspective, heck yeah, it would make our job so much easier, right? It would be. It's a Department of Public Safety issue. It's an inconvenience. We in Oklahoma traditionally just have the rear plate, but a lot of states have adopted the requirement for the front and the back plate. But it really is designed as a public safety feature where we can identify the law breakers, right? Not the speeders, but the law breakers. So no plans yet on the drawing board for that, but it's always a possibility.
Other questions? Because I've got one text to me, and I know this person's is an Inola resident, but they're watching, and they have asked if I could ask your earlier statements about if the state of Oklahoma did away with property tax, how would that impact companies that have been brought here with huge TIF district incentives. What would that look like? How do you collect property taxes and taxes when somebody's been made a promise for millions of dollars?
Right, so let's just break down property tax. Now, people complain about property taxes, but any of you that own a home and have a mortgage, the things that are required by your mortgage company are principal, interest, property tax, and insurance. So when you see that escrow amount going up and you get frustrated, our tendency is to blame our assessor and our treasurer because they're raising my property tax. In fact, it is the insurance companies that are raising your premiums. We in Oklahoma pay twice the national average on property and casualty insurance for our homes. Twice. That's why I'm suing State Farm and Allstate. They're taking advantage of us. Now, as to the question on property taxes, we got the undersheriff of Tulsa County back there. Wave your hand at us, George. All right, so that man would not have a job if we had no property tax. We would have no sheriff's department. We would have no roads and bridges, and we would have no secondary education without property taxes. Those are fundamental. We would not be able to fund TIFs and tax increment financing districts. We would not be able to bring economic development if we had no property tax. There is no state in the United States that has zero property tax. It's just fundamental. Now, can we make it fair? Yes. And here's some thoughts. Your homestead exemption of $1,000 was set 25 years ago. Can we give it a cost of living adjustment next year? Yes. Can we bring it up to $2,500 to $3,000? Yes. That's not going to injure the system. If you're a fixed income retired person making less than, let's say, $75,000, can we freeze your property tax? Yes. Because there's a lot of people in retirement that make a lot more money than that. So we're not going to injure roads and bridges, sheriff's departments, education, and TIF financing. So property tax is ripe for some tweaks, but we have to keep it in place. So the question was, is there any plan on toll roads? So I initiated an audit, a forensic audit of the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority because something is not right. And the results came back that, in fact, they're taking the money and treating it correctly. So they're not cross-populating it with Department of Transportation. But you're much too young to remember this, but when we agreed to turnpikes in Oklahoma, it was sold under this guise. We're going to charge you a toll until we've paid for that turnpike, and then we'll stop that toll. And that promise hasn't been kept. And as a matter of fact, what we now have are about $9 billion of bonds associated with the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority for the construction of roads and bridges on our turnpikes that are purchased by Wall Street investors. And so we're in a pickle. But what we need is discipline at the governor's office to put the right men and women in charge of the Department of Transportation and the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority so that we don't take advantage of Oklahomans. For instance, putting the toll road in west side of Tulsa for 3 miles. That was the road that those people got on every morning to go to work. And now every morning when they get on that toll road, they're paying 75 cents, and that's wrong. The local resident should have a yellow tag or something that it reads it as a local for purposes of that road, and they're not charged. So there's a lot of things we can implement, and I went to the Turnpike Authority about 3 years ago asking them to consider that for local residents associated with a toll road, that they have a decal that lets them not pay on the roads associated with their neighborhoods. Now, if you're going to drive to Oklahoma City and you want to take I-44, pay the toll. But if you're trying to go from Glencoe to Prattville, you shouldn't have to pay a toll. Right, so my first 2 years as Attorney General was under the Biden administration where we had an open border. And what would happen, and this is not an exaggeration, this is confirmed through the FBI and my office's research, the Chinese Communist Party, the government of China, would recruit its less economically fortunate people to join their team. And they would go to the southwest corner of China, get on a container ship, go to Sinaloa coast. On the container ship would be the precursors to fentanyl and the sex workers and the human workers, the laborers. Take them to Sinaloa. The Sinaloa cartel would download the people and the fentanyl precursor and take it directly across the Rio Grande into Oklahoma and reunite them with the handlers of the Chinese Communist Party here in Oklahoma. That happened, and we would shut down grows, and we would say, hey, Homeland Security, ICE, we've just shut down 24 Chinese people. We're going to prosecute the 4 leaders. We got 20 that are here illegally. Where do you want us to send them? And they would say, give them a card and ask them politely to go to Kansas City and process within the next 2 weeks. A couple weeks later, we'd see the same guys at the next grow down the road, right? So it never broke the back. Trump comes into office and he shuts down the border, and he empowers ICE to work with the states. So now, every day when we go out on a bust of an illegal grow facility that we know to be Chinese or Mexican or Cuban, ICE is with us. So the leader drives, you got an ICE communications officer right here, you've got a paddy wagon at the back of the line, and you've got helicopter support every single time we go in to a big grow. And when we bust it, they're there with us to protect us and them. We take the people we're going to prosecute, and they process and deport the illegal aliens right there on the spot. Oklahoma is the 5th highest in deportations in the United States. Of the 50 states, we're 5th in numbers. We deport about 20 to 50 Chinese people a month out of Oklahoma, and it put us on the map. Now, what we don't have in Oklahoma is ICE hanging out at our elementary schools and our shopping malls, right? That's what they're doing in Minneapolis and other states. ICE is engaged with law enforcement breaking the back of illegal crime. So they're not harassing people that are brown-skinned. They're harassing people that are here illegally and breaking the law. And as governor, I'll continue that policy until we've broken the back of organized crime and we've got every person here illegally who's engaged in illegal activity out of the state.
Thank you.
Yes.
So is there a way that you can
let me
repeat
restate
that
the
question?
question. So the question was the toll tax that we voted in, the half penny to the penny, that it goes to the penny and a half. Is anybody holding that accountable, and is it really going to the benefit of teachers and schools? And the sad answer is it is in large part not, because the administrative costs, that the burden of servicing the debt, bond debt associated with the turnpikes. Similarly, you guys remember when we approved medical marijuana, I thought it would be this bonanza of dollars to our school system, but we spend 10 times as much in law enforcement of illegal grows than we make from the legal grow operators that are paying taxes. So we got everything wrong in Oklahoma on the marijuana. But on every one of these, we have to have a governor that's unafraid to hold people accountable. Now, our tribal partners are a great partner for public education. If you go out into eastern Oklahoma, the Cherokee Nation gives significant dollars to every school in its district. The Choctaws and the Chickasaws do the same thing. So we have great partnership that benefits education. We just need a governor who puts his arms around it and gets the benefit that we've negotiated through the Turnpike Authority tax, through marijuana tax, through our partnership with the tribes, and make a difference. There's money to be had. We got to get it. Now we'll comment on there are legal men and women that have invested their life savings to grow good and valuable marijuana product for people that need to use it for medical reasons. I don't resent that. Now, shutting down the illegal grows provides an economic opportunity for the legal growing entities to make money. And those are the ones that are paying in taxes. They do a great job paying in taxes. It's these guys over here. And I'll make this statement, 2 statements on drugs in Oklahoma. One, know who you're buying your medical marijuana from, because every grow facility we go into and shut down, at that facility are pesticides and herbicides that are illegal to be used in the United States of America. They're importing them from China. They're toxic. And the people consuming the cannabis product that are from those illegal grows are putting carcinogens in their body, 1. 2, tell your young people, if you take a pill, if you consume a pill in Oklahoma that did not come from a pharmacist, the likelihood of it having fentanyl is 50-50. 50-50. So that means they're basically playing Russian roulette, because we have had so many young people overdose and die, or overdose and injure themselves because of the introduction of fentanyl into what they thought was otherwise just an opiate or another type of drug. So we have to be on our guard. We're trying to break the back of the illicit drug trade in Oklahoma. We've done great work. We have a long way to go. Well, thank you for that testimony. My mama taught me to try to always do the right thing, and representing good men and women across the state has been a great honor of mine, and being your Attorney General has been a great privilege. I'm optimistic that I can be your governor. You have my commitment to give it my very best. I will always do the right thing regardless of the cost, and although we may not agree on everything, you can always rest assured that I will tell you the truth. And with that, I'm so very thankful to have this opportunity, and I encourage you to do those three things we started with. If you're a Republican, vote for me in August 25th. If you're a Democrat, tell your Republican friends to do that. And then third, please be an advocate for me, because so few people will turn out to vote in August. I need your friends and family to vote for Drummond. Thank you.